Now we're gonna talk about projectile motion. Projectile motion is the motion of the body projected horizontally at an angle other than 90 degrees with the horizontal. And it has two components, the horizontal and vertical components. The vertical component is changing while the horizontal component is constant. The object being thrown is called a projectile, and the path that the projectile goes to is called the trajectory. The range, which is the displacement of the object from the starting to the ending point, is affected by the angle of release. The maximum range is at 45 degrees because anything lower or higher than that will have a lesser range. But if the angle of release is higher than 45 degrees, then the height also increases. There are also complementary angles which add up to 90, which will give you the same range. When the projectile is launched, its velocity decreases because it's the opposite of the pull of gravity. Then at its maximum height, its velocity is equal to 0 and stays still for a moment, but also goes down after because of gravity. And also because of the said gravity, its velocity increases. The acceleration is also constant, which is also similar to the acceleration due to gravity, which is 9.8 meters per second squared. Problems in projectiles will be solved by applying the 5 kinematic equations of motion separately to each component. Let's solve one problem about projectile motion. Here's our sample problem. A ball is thrown at an initial velocity of 30 meters per second at an angle of 65 degrees. First question is, how long is the ball in the air? Next is, how far did the ball travel? And how high did the ball go? Before we solve these three questions, let's see our given. Our initial velocity is 30 meters per second and an angle of release at 65 degrees. Before we can solve, we need to find first the horizontal and vertical velocity, which is v sub x and v sub y. V sub x being our horizontal velocity. To solve that, we need the initial velocity times the cosine of our angle of release. And as you can see, we have here 30 meters per second times the cosine of 65 degrees. We got 12.68 meters per second. Then to find our v sub y, which is our vertical velocity, it's the same formula, initial velocity, but we're gonna find the sine of 65 degrees. So as you can see there, 30 meters per second times the sine of 65 degrees, we get 27.19 meters per second. Now that we have found our horizontal and vertical velocity, we can continue solving. Let's do our first question. How long is the ball in the air? So it's talking about how long it is in the air, it's talking about time. To solve for time, the formula is 2 times Vy, v sub y, over the acceleration due to gravity, which is 9.8 meters per second squared. As you can see in the next formula right there, which we substituted all the values we need. So we get 2 times 27.19 meters per second, which is our v sub y from the last one that we got. And we divide that by 9.8 meters per second squared, and we'll get 5.55 seconds. Let's talk about time. To easier understand this, we cancel the meters and meters from the 27.19 and 9.8, and then seconds as well. And since second is square, we still have 1 unit of seconds. That's why we have 5.55 seconds for the time. Next is, how far did the ball travel? To talk about how far, that means it's the range, because it's a displacement from one point to another, to the end point. So for the formula for this, it is v sub x times the time. So just substitute our values there, which are v sub x is 12.68 meters per second times the time, which is 5.55 seconds. So we get 70.37 meters. Since we canceled seconds, we're left with meters. And our answer is 70.37 meters. Third question states, how high did the ball go? Since we're talking about how high, we're talking about height. So the formula is v sub y squared over 2 times the acceleration due to gravity. So if we substitute our values, we'll get 27.19 meters per second square. We squared the whole 27.19 divided by 2 times 9.8 meters per second squared. If you solve this, we will get 37.72 meters. So we just cancel our units, and our final answer is once again 37.72 meters. There you have it, all about projectile motion and solving a problem about it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you learned something from this video. If you want to see more, just go to my channel down below. Make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. Bye!